Hi everybody, this is Lara at pureelliottwave.com with an extra video for you today. I'm going to look at two smaller altcoins. I'm going to look at Cardano and then Voyager. I'm looking at Cardano because I'm personally interested in possibly buying some of this today, and I want to look at Voyager because a member has asked me to do so today, and I think they're both on my list anyway from requests from the YouTube channel. So this is my last wave count for Cardano. I've just updated my data, but I haven't updated the wave count. Let's do that now. I'm not sure if I want to put intermediate B there or here. One of the reasons why I want to look at Cardano is despite the cryptocurrency crash today, Cardano is holding up really well. It's not making a lower low. Doesn't mean it can't, and we'll see when I finish the analysis if I think it may make a lower low, but it's nice to see some strength in one of these. So I think I'm going to move this lower actually. I'm going to get rid of this. I think I want to see A over here and B over here, and we'll consider where C may or may not end. And so I think I want to see 4 over here, so that's not going to be a triangle. It looks like it might be an expanded flat. Oh, actually it could be an expanding triangle. Okay, so it could be an expanding triangle. I don't think I've ever seen one of these before, but I mean it could be. It could also be an expanded flat. If this is an expanding triangle, all of the subwaves must subdivide as zigzags. Let's expand this out. This is interesting from a geeky Elliott wave point of view. Is B over here? What's the low here? 1.187, and here this is the low. Okay, A, B, C, D, yeah, they all look like zigzags. If I was to label it an expanded flat, I would do this. So I would have probably A over here and B an expanded flat. And now C, I'll probably have A like that. Oh no, here, yeah. Now my newt C needs to be a 5-wave structure, but actually looks best as a 3, doesn't it? So I've never done this before, labelled a movement an expanding triangle, but I'm going to do it now. That's really interesting. That's the first piece of movement for a 4th wave that I can be fairly confident looks like a pretty good expanding triangle. Meets all Elliott wave rules for it too. Okay, that's a really rare structure. Okay, but 5 isn't subdividing as 5 if it's over there, but if we have intermediate B, an expanded flat, I'm just checking that C has moved above A and avoided a truncation. No, it hasn't. I don't want to label a running flat there. Okay. So this is 1.24, 1.240, 1.242 and 1.25. Okay, well, could this be part of C? Could be. We could have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yep, that actually fits, although I'm not too happy with the proportion between intermediate A and B. I think I'd want to work on an alternate for this one. So I'm trying to figure out, is the Elliott wave structure complete for primary wave 2? I don't know. Could be. Maybe not. I'll make that judgment when I look at classic analysis indicators. I think, I don't know, some of these proportions aren't great. Minor 2 is very brief, minor 4 is longer lasting, but if 4 is a triangle, they are usually longer lasting than their counterpart second waves. Minute 2 here is really brief, 4 is brief, minuet 2 is a lot longer lasting than the corrections that come before it. But then this bounce is brief, this bounce is brief, and this bounce is longer lasting. It just is. It comes after, so it has to be a lower degree, and it does last longer. Proportions aren't always perfect. You can't expect perfection in charts. I mean, you can hope, Hope's a terrible strategy. What was my target? 0.45011, 0.406529. Not bad so far. Do I think the low's in? It's within normal range. And invalidation point 0.0191. What's my bigger picture wave count for Cardano? Looking at a semi-log scale, that's better. I'm looking for the end of primary wave 2. Yeah, so cycle 1, cycle 2, primary 1, primary 2. This low here, 0.406529. Now, well below this, so we can't label this 1, 2, 3, 4, because 4 can't move into one price territory. A core Elliott wave rule would be broken, so that would be an invalid wave count. This is correct. Okay, that looks actually okay. I think it... Oh, this is what I had last time. Here's another way of looking at it. Okay, the proportions here might actually be better. Okay, it could be over. Let's look at some technicals. Where is my technical section here? I'm just going to use motive wave for this, not go over to stock charts, because I can move back in time more easily. So I'm trying to examine this low and identify, is this low sustainable? And I'm adding in money flow index here to just have another oscillator here to look at. Let's go back to previous lows. I think I've identified 2 on this chart. Here, 13th of March 2020. RSI reaches oversold on the daily chart level. ADX tells us the trend is very extreme. Let's expand this out and look and see if there was a candlestick pattern. No bullish candlestick pattern, but this candlestick is green, so volume within this session mostly upward, and volume shows an increase off the low, so that's bullish for the short term. RSI exhibits no bullish divergence on a closing basis. Stochastics does, from here to here, here to here on a closing basis. Money flow index, what's that doing? Neutral, negative, in the lower half below 50, but not oversold. Okay, the next low. What happened after this? It starts to move off the low quite slowly. And it's really only this session that could have been an indicator of something strong happening, but oh, that would have been so hard to identify, wouldn't it? These lows for cryptocurrencies are a lot harder to identify than the highs, and the highs are hard enough as well. So, I mean, this is all really hard. Okay, the next one here is 22nd of June 2021. And this low, just under $1, came with an increase in volume. There's a bullish candlestick pattern. This is a morning doji star, these 3. ADX didn't reach extreme at the low. It reached very extreme for the previous upward trend, and at the low it was just indicating a downward trend that had room to go, and RSI didn't reach oversold. Stochastics reached oversold, but when the market's trending, that can stay extreme for quite a while. Money flow index, possibly not of much use there. Probably useful at this high though. Okay, those would have been both very hard to identify. Let's skip over to this last low here. We have a bullish candlestick pattern here. It doesn't have support from volume though. RSI's reached oversold. There's no bullish divergence. Possibly a little bullish divergence with stochastics in price, and ADX tells us the downward trend reached very extreme over here, so here above 45 and above both DX lines. ADX has just had a crossover of the negative DX to positive DX, indicating again a downward trend, and volume is pushing price quite strongly lower. There is bullish divergence on a closing basis. Here the close for Cardano was 0.473746, and the close here 0.469783. Price has closed lower, but RSI has not made a corresponding low. So there's some bullish divergence here after RSI reached oversold. This is actually pretty bullish. I think this might be a good opportunity. I'm going to consider buying just a little bit of this. I don't care, to be honest, if it makes lower lows. I'm fine with that. I'm not trying to pick a low. I'm just trying to get in reasonably close to a low, because if I purchase any of this today, it's a long term opportunity. I will hold for at least 5 years, probably longer, and see what happens. And if I purchase some, it's going to be a really small purchase, just maybe $100 or $200, nothing more than that. And if I lose it in its entirety, I will lose absolutely no sleep over it. So I think that's a decent approach to these little altcoins, and it's what I've done mostly with the others. Okay, let's have a look at Voyager, because someone asked me to have a look at this. Here's my last work for Voyager, and this is now invalidated. Let's make sure I'm viewing this on a semi-log scale for this. Wow, what a huge exponential growth. That's just a complete vertical movement in it, isn't it? That's fascinating. Fourth wave, much more brief than its counterpart second wave. Not here though, little triangle. So the question is, what's happening to minor wave 2? It's obviously moving lower. Let's get these labels here out of the way and bring this 2 down here, and I think we might have to increase the, I'm going to move the degree of labelling all up 1 degree. Oh, this is one of the reasons I love motive wave. Look at that. With a click, 1 click, the whole thing moved up 1 degree. Might even need to move it up another degree. Let's look at the weekly chart though. Let's just move this all up 1 degree. Here on this chart as well. Yay, done. So easy. When I used to have to do my charts with Photoshop, I'd have to move and change every single label. Oh, it was so painful. And I have to tell you, it actually made a difference to the decision, which is really bad. The decision to change the degree of labelling, I mean, and you don't want something as stupid as yours software or lack of it. I think that might be a multiple zigzag. Oh, maybe it ends here. Okay, well, let's focus on C. Whatever A and B is, B moved beyond the start of A, so this second wave correction looks like an expanded flat. Let's just calculate the length of B in relation to A. Oh, B is a 1.04 length of A, so this is a regular flat, not an expanded flat. So I wouldn't expect C to be that long. Does C subdivide as a completed 5-wave structure? Let's have a look at that on the daily chart, because I think that's going to be where we can see the answer for Voyager. What a strong downward movement this is. Have we seen that before from this one? Yep, here not so much. Yeah, it's happened before. This is normal for these cryptocurrencies to reduce by 80-90% of market value. Absolutely normal. Not normal for other markets, but these markets exhibit the most extreme volatility I have ever seen of any market. I think 1 is not over there. I think 1's over here. Oh yeah, and 2 looks like a really good expanded flat. Now, if 1's over there at 2.33, then 4 does not overlap 1 price territory motive wave. Slightly annoying, but they've misinterpreted the rules, so when it does that, I ignore that. The rule is really clear. The 4th wave may not overlap into the 1st wave price territory. The rule doesn't say anything about the 4th wave into overlapping 2nd wave price territory. And if we have B here, then C looks like, I think, a reasonable 5-wave impulse. Yeah, and I think within the 3rd wave, you've probably got... Right, you've got 3, 4, and then 1 maybe here as a leading diagonal. B looks like a pretty good zigzag. I think A probably over there and B probably some kind of combination, or maybe a triangle. 1 looks like a fairly decent 5-wave impulse. Yeah, I like the look of that. The 3rd wave, there's going to be no problem with this subdivision here. Oh, even this little fifth wave looks like a really nice little 5. Isn't that nice? Oh, I don't know if I'd do that, but yeah, no, I would actually. Okay, I'll agree with you on that one, Motive Wave. This looks like a good... No, I'd put this down here. Like this, yeah, like that. Okay. Well, it could be over, but from this low to this high, this is a 3-wave movement, so that looks like a counter-trend movement. So I think it probably isn't over. It's probably got lower lows. Let's look at the technicals for Voyager. Okay, we've really only got one other low to compare the current situation with. At these highs, that would have been really hard to identify this one. This doesn't look like the usual look for a high in cryptocurrencies. I'm not seeing that vertical spike. But wow, what a huge gravestone doji this is, and a shooting star candlestick pattern. That's really bearish. And bearish divergence between price and RSI, and a failure swing from RSI just here on this day, on the shooting star. That's really bearish, so maybe not that hard. Okay, here's a sustainable low. $1.56. This was 19th of May 2021. Downward movement ended on a volume spike. Let's squish this up so I can expand out. On balance volume. On balance volume continues to make new lows after price. That would have been really hard, and giving probably if we put some support lines in here, which I won't do because it just doesn't work so well with Motive Wave with those lines, but if I see a support line here, that would have been breached, giving bearish signals after the low. That would have been really hard. I think this is a hammer candlestick pattern. Let me quickly calculate the length of the wick in relation to the real body. Yeah, the lower wick is more than twice the length of the real body. So this is a bullish candlestick reversal pattern called a hammer. And downward movement with a volume spike. So that's bullish. ADX tells us that the downward trend was at the low extreme, but not very extreme. It reaches very extreme here, above DX lines and both, and 45. At the low here, what is RSI doing? It just dips into oversold here. This low on a closing basis 2.13, and the close here 2.73, so price closes lower, RSI moves lower, no divergence here, but RSI just dips into oversold. Has it done that before on the daily chart? Let's squish up the whole price history and look at RSI. Oh yeah, here, oh wow, and here a lot. Okay, so just because RSI dips into oversold doesn't mean that the low has to be in. But wow, we're seeing some bullish divergence here. RSI here, deeply oversold. The close, 0.627931. The close here, oh, a lot lower. Oh, strong bullish divergence. Nice gravestone doji here. Bullish engulfing candlestick pattern here. Let's reduce these and have a look at volume approaching this low. This volume, 7.8 million, this volume, 8.4. So the bullish candlestick reversal pattern does not have support from volume. The gravestone doji did. That's a strong bearish signal, so unsurprising, we're getting some downward movement. Volume isn't really actively pushing price lower though, it's declining. ADX indicates no clear trend, and RSI is neutral, exhibiting bullish divergence. Interesting. Stochastics doesn't look like it's exhibiting divergence though. On balance volume is also exhibiting quite strong hidden bullish divergence. Well, actually I would probably read this more as a leading indicator, so that's actually quite bearish. ATR increasing here and now kind of flattening off as price moves lower. And money flow index. Just started to use this one on a more regular basis, just having a look at this. So overbought here, and that was a peak. Oversold here, and that was not associated with the low, and price continues quite a lot lower. You could have said there was bullish divergence all along here and yet price continued lower, so not particularly useful. Okay, I think I'm going to go with the Elliott wave count for Voyager. I think it's possibly could be over here. If it's not over here, then I would have to relabel intermediate 2 as a double zigzag. I should do that as an alternate and chart that now, but I'm not actually considering purchasing any of this for myself today, so I'm not going to take that time to do that. But that would be my alternate idea. W, X, Y, and Y would be A, B, C. So C to move below A to avoid a truncation. I would keep an eye on these divergences between price and RSI and see if RSI touches oversold again. And if it does, then I'd look for a bullish candlestick pattern, but I wouldn't necessarily want to see support from volume from this one to have confidence. But if we did see it, then I'd have quite a lot of confidence. So I don't see technical evidence of a low in place yet, but I do see some weakness in this downward movement, indicating a low may be approaching. How sustainable that is, I'm just sorry, I just can't tell you. The lows for these cryptocurrencies are so much harder to identify than their highs. But I do think that they're coming up probably sooner rather than later now. Okay, that's all from me with a couple of extra for you today. I'll be buying some Cardano later today, and I'll notify my membership as per my CMT ethics guidelines, giving them all time to make their own purchases if they should choose to do so before I make mine. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your support, and I hope everyone had a really awesome weekend.